Hey, what is going on everyone? It's Crimson Pharaoh. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at my top 10 Nat 4s that I think they're the top 10 Nat 4s in Summoners War. We're going to go over some honorable mentions at the end, but I think we should just probably hop into the top 10 list right away. So, my 10th, the unit I think is the 10th best in the game is apparently harder to find than I thought, Triana. So, she's a beast. She gets 15 attack speed when she's awakened. 113 is very nice. Her passive keeps things from dying and offsets the incoming damage that may cause ally to die and instantly gets another turn. So I think she gets the extra turn here then. She does HP recovery. She puts immunity on the whole team. And this can put stuff to sleep and reduce attack bar. So very, very strong guild unit. So a lot of the stuff in the list is more PvP based, but the top three I would be like if you don't have this unit, kind of pick it up from a Nat 4 event, or just when starting the game from that event too. Definitely those top three are very strong. So number 9 here is Galleon. He was my favorite unit in the game for a long time. On an old account I had Bernard, Galleon, Ciara, Lagmaron team with Ciara lead in Arena, and then I could use Galleon, Bernard, Lagmaron in Guild Wars, and it was just very, very strong. It was very fun to use. Of course, there was no strip for immunity, but it wasn't that big of a deal most of the time. The third skill, it increases attack power of all allies and decreases all enemies' defense. The great thing about this skill is that it can never land a glancing hit and then miss the debuff because it doesn't hit anything. The only thing you have to worry about here is making sure you have 85 accuracy. You will always pass the accuracy check, the first one, at 85 accuracy, and then you just have to beat the innate accuracy, which is 15%. But I mean, that's the innate accuracy. The innate resistance in this game is not typically going to be hurting you that much. I mean, you should probably have things worked on in your team so you don't get totally smoked out if something misses, but yeah. Anyway, number 8 is Orion here. So he's just very strong, very annoying. He has been for 8 years. Good base speed, 106. You can run him on Swift or Violent. Definitely Swift if you want to make sure you get the first turn, but you can run him on Violent Will with other units in the team that are, Rage Will or Violent Will or Nem Will, Despair Will, whatever you're running for your Guild War teams. But that's where he's the strongest typically, is Guild War, because randomly selects the end enemy 4 times to grant one of the following effects, removes 2 beneficial effects. So if you have only 3 units, it's just easier to get the beneficial effects off of the enemy and then potentially hit one of these 3 onto that enemy you took it off of. So this skill always lands as a crushing hit, can never glance or anything, even onto wind units, so highly likely to land that defense break, and then can get extra turns here. So just really very annoying for that unit. Okay, my number 7 is Garo. He's pretty good for PvP. It's not that hard. If you have a Fran or a Lauren, if you have a Lauren or a Fran, they're triple hitting, they'll go right through the passive. But for Rift Beasts and stuff, this is really strong. For Dragons, it can help a lot. Even Giants, you're going to have a long run time in Giants if you're using him, but it should win almost every time. But yeah, great for Rift Beasts. Really strong in the front line because they only attack the one time, other than the Fire Beast, obviously. And you probably just shouldn't bring him into water, but he's pretty good there. He's great in guild battles and stuff. Like, he's just an all-around amazing unit. High damage on first and second skill, and just hard, very, very annoying to deal with. So yeah, number 6 is actually a fusible unit. He's the only fusible unit on the list. If this was just like pick these 4 stars when you're starting the game, really it would only be a top 3 list, because there's only 3 groups of units in this game that you should be picking up when you're starting. But because this is just a general top 10, I think Verd definitely belongs up here. Every time he moves, he's getting 40% attack bar for the team. Great dungeon speed leader skill. He does pretty high damage too. You can build him for Trikaru. Obviously, you want him on Rage then. But in PvP, he gets a lot of play too. RTA with just boosting here. He's great in TOA. He's even great in the Rift Beasts. Most people don't think to use him there because there's only a certain number of turns you can take in the Rift Beast, and the Rift Beast is just guaranteed to get the turn then. The attack bar will manipulate itself to make sure that the boss doesn't get attacked too many times in Rift Beasts, but he's still helpful for that dead time, because if your units aren't moving yet, like the Rift boss is still going to have its attack bar going up, so having him in there to push it up a little bit, make sure that there's not so much of that dead time where things are just waiting to get a turn. It does help in Rift Beasts, actually, so he's just a great unit. TOA, again, if I didn't say that, he's great for TOA as well. Number 5 here. Number 5 already. Skogul. He's just a complete beast. It's hard to say too much. I mean, the Awakening makes complete sense for him. You want high resistance on him. I would try to shoot for 80 to 90, because at that point, most PvP people at like early and middle game level don't really think about accuracy. It's not like in their head too much. So it's at 80% about, you're probably going to be negating a lot of those hits, and he's already at 40% anyway as long as he's awakened, so it's not that hard to get him there. Obviously the second skill is what makes him amazing. He can violent proc a team to death, which in the past you would describe a lot of units that way, like Ciara, Perna, stuff like that. But I mean, he'll literally just violent proc. He won't even throw the rock again. The whole team is gone. So he's pretty fun for that. Number 4 here is Kaki. So very, very strong. Kind of hard to pick between Kaki and Skogul because I think both of them are equally disgusting. I think Skogul is I think they're both really easy to build, because he doesn't need crit rate or crit damage. It's a huge amount of stats that can go into something else. He can just stack a bunch of defense and a bunch of attack power and a bunch of HP and speed and be fine. You really don't need accuracy at all. I wouldn't even worry about the decreased defense here. I mean, this skill does a crazy amount of damage, the Blade Slaughter skill, so you can put accuracy on him if you want. Again, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Does get base speed, so 115 is very high. He's just an incredible damage dealer. And then number 3 is actually about 10 units put together, so there aren't any LDs on the list, but these ones here and these girls here are also very strong, but most people are just going for Sabrina Talia early on. Sabrina here reduces damage, inflicts 20% more damage on enemies with no beneficial effects, and then receives less damage from enemies granted with beneficial effects. So she does a bunch of stuff. The Chakram Dancer will be granted the same effect, so Talia is also getting that benefit of dealing more damage and taking less damage. This skill does decrease defense and attack power for 1 turn with a 50% chance to disturb HP recovery. So there's just a lot of utility here. Hits 3 times. This one attacks enemy to decrease defense, so that's the first and second skill. Talia here buffs herself up, cleanses herself, does a bunch of damage here. Does pretty good damage here. Inflicted damage that increases as the enemy's HP decreases, so the closer you get to killing something, the more damage she does. So the twins are just fantastic in Rift Beasts. I think people value them a little too highly in Chaos dungeons. I don't think they're that good there. Obviously for Necropolis, the attacking together constantly thing is great for the shield, but if you just build a Trikaru team in a Verdehile, you don't even need the Lushen or Aster. Like, it's a pretty solid team, just Trikaru Verd, so don't pick these up just for that, but I would pick them up, and I put them in the 3rd spot because they're so good in Rift Beasts. Like, having that extra benefit of just not even needing great runes and having something that will easily triple S a lot of the Rift Beasts other than Wind. But Fire, Water, Light, and Dark, if you have these 2 here, it's very, very easy to do all of them triple S with not amazing runes. So for that reason, I put them here. And it just helps, like, even after the homunculus, you get both of them, all of them farmed up, and getting, you know, whatever your re-app stone's done. Like, you gotta farm a bunch of determination sets or fight sets, either one for your Trikaru team. It doesn't matter what you go for, and these are gonna help a lot, especially in the Light Beast, because the Light Beast is really very annoying. So number 2 is Tyron here. Great leader skill, nice control here. He can do a freeze and an attack speed slow. He can do attack bar pushback if there is a decreased attack speed effect on the enemy. Does glancing here too, and then this is cool too. But some people said that they were confused as to why I put him, why I said Verad was so good, the water dragon, when you can easily replace him with Tyron. You'd have better luck just replacing Verad with the Water Elven Ranger here. I thought I should throw that in this video. This skill damages all enemies, decreasing their attack bar by 75%. Stuns the enemies who have less than 30% for 1 turn. So if the attack bar skill lands, they will all be below 30%. I mean, unless your homeboy is doing crazy damage in something, I don't know, revenge procs before the stun effect goes off, I don't know how you could even pull it off. Or Nemesis, sorry, not Vampire. If there was like a Nemesis proc because you're doing too much damage, but yeah, and then he gets extra turns here and does good damage, so I think Elowin is actually better at controlling than Tyron is. Tyron has the leader skill. If Tyron didn't have the 19% leader skill, he wouldn't be number 2 on the list if he didn't have the leader skill. This is a huge benefit to him. Makes a lot of things easier just having more speed than enemies. But yeah, I mean, you can make him up by a 3-star. It's a freeze and a 75% pushback on attack bar if the enemy has a decreased attack speed effect. So it's like almost the exact same thing as a 3-star. Verad, however, does 3 turns of control. He reduces the enemy's attack bar to 0 and freezes. The second skill can freeze on top of a freeze if it's already there. It can extend the freeze effect. This doesn't do anything, but you can just throw him on Violent, and he does defense-based damage. Like, Verad is better than you guys think. I don't know. Like, Verad is kind of in a whole different class than Tyron. I don't think he really does nearly as much as Verad does, but yeah. The number 1 unit on the list is Lushen here. Obviously, I think he's been the best Nat 4 in the game for 8 years. I mean, since the game came out. This ignore damage or ignore defense skill here, massive AoE damage is, I mean, it's key for so many different things. He's in the best run times for every single dungeon in Kairos. Dragons, he is not in the number 1 team, he's in the number 2 team, and like 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on down the list. He's in the vast majority of the Dragons teams, and then obviously the other ones as well. Arena, he can cleave everything out. I just did a video on that. He does such a significant amount of damage here with just this skill that it opens doors to a lot of things. It just makes the game so much easier having him. And the crazy thing is, like, he has an AoE on skill 2 that doesn't really do any damage. The skill 1, I think, does more damage to just 1 unit than I think this skill does to as many as on the board. But this can do random debuffs, but really the 3rd skill is what he's there for. And it's just that strong that he's been a meta unit forever. I'll do some honorable mentions too. Let me check my list here. I'm not going to explain all of them, why they're on the list, but because I think most people know. Draco, fantastic unit, attack bar and immunity. Kamoon, shielding, speed lead, great guild unit. Clara, free to play actually. This skill stuns, strips 3 times AoE. This one here, the Fire Hypno Meow, is hard to put anywhere because I don't know how much damage he's doing yet. People were saying he might be like Hathor, but a damage dealer version, a bruiser version, so If that's the case, if his sleeps are consistent and his damage is consistent, then he's definitely a fantastic unit. If he's actually better than Hathor, he's obviously in the top 10 for net 4s. From here, Chisoon is fantastic. This goes through heal block. This is a heal attack bar, or attack bar buff. This guy's free to play here, a fantastic unit. I used him on a different account when I started the game. I pulled him early, and he can just do a lot of damage, take a lot of damage. He does usable buffs and debuffs for the team. He's actually a very solid unit. A Messity here, if you're trying to run Copper Bulldozer, definitely get a Messity. He's the best unit to put with them. Just fantastic. Water Kung Fu Girl, this skill here, inflicted damage by 15% each harmful effect on the enemy, so increases damage, and then can counterattack. These can go into each other if you do something. There's some chance to move into Twist Kick with 30%. Just a bunch of damage. Great on Vampire, actually. Not very many of those units in the game. He does good damage, takes good damage, can strip stuff. He's good for Guild Wars, Dragons, stuff like that. And then Shilling. Sort of the same thing. Dragons, Guild Wars, he strips stuff, he does buffs. He's actually good on Despair, because he can strip every single time that he touches the enemy, which could be pretty good in guild battles. So that's why I think he's actually stronger and more useful than people tend to use him for. So anyway, that was my list here. Those were all my honorable mentions. I should also say, real quick, the MK snipers here. Fantastic guild leader skill here, but massive damage on all of the normal element ones. I'm sure these are great too. It's just that, you know, it's hard to acquire them. But yeah, they're all three of them are very good. So yeah, that's all for this one. If you guys disagreed or would put something else on the list, please comment that down below. I'd love to hear that from you guys. Again, I feel like Varad is better than people think. Like, I know he's not on global a lot. I think I have a lot of global server people that watch my videos, but he's everywhere in the Asian servers. Varad Rika is actually really annoying to fight against. So yeah, anyway, that's all for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see everybody in the next video.